My father is a human trafficker, and my mother is the heiress he kidnapped. The day the police came, he fell to his death during the chase. My mother and I were sent back to the Wynn family. She lost her mind, screaming and pushing me away, saying, "I never gave birth to a trafficker's child." My grandfather trembled with rage, declaring, "The Wynn family can't have such a bastard." They sent me to a boarding school for the elite. The school bully tormented me, forcing me to eat dog food. "Your dad's an animal, so you only deserve this." After taking a bite, I cried. No one told me dog food could taste so good. When the bully's sidekick, Sun Lei, shoved my head into the dog bowl, the tempting aroma of meat hit my nose. I spotted the salmon and beef inside and couldn't resist taking a small bite. The next second, my tears plopped into the bowl. In my whole life, I'd never eaten anything so delicious. Ignoring the pressure on my head, I buried my face and wolfed down the food, swallowing tears mixed with the meal. Holy shit. Sun Lei was so startled he let go, stumbling back 2 steps. She actually ate it? Jiang Yi, the school bully beside him, froze. He nudged Zhao Xiaobang with his elbow. "Is that dog food clean? The dog hasn't touched it, right? No germs." "What, cat got your tongue?" Zhao Xiaobang was also baffled, scratching his head. "I watched our maid make it fresh just now. To teach her a lesson, I picked yesterday's leftovers for the salmon and beef. The bowl is new though." While they were talking, I had already licked the bowl clean enough to see my reflection. Then I looked up at them with tearful eyes and whispered, "Is there more? I haven't eaten in 3 days." Jiang Yi kicked over a nearby chair, his face fierce. You're getting addicted to this, huh?" But I wasn't afraid. When my dad's drunk, he loves to beat me. He weighs about 100 kilos, hits hard, his fists are as big as sandbags. Once my mom tried to run away, but he caught her. Dad got so angry, he broke a dozen thorny rattan canes on her. I hugged my mom and begged him to stop, but he was blind with rage and swung a hoe at my head. That time I was unconscious for 3 days, and there is still a long scar on my forehead. Besides that scar, I have many other wounds on my body, bruises from pinching, scalds from boiling water, welts from rattan canes. No matter how fierce they are, they can't compare to that man. The school beauty by Lu walked by with her tray, rolled her eyes, and said, "Are you all stupid? Just throw the food you don't like into her bowl." As she spoke, she expressionlessly dumped the broccoli, carrots, and fatty meat from her tray into my dog bowl. The surrounding classmates suddenly understood, and soon my bowl was piled high, like a small mountain. "I hate green peppers, here you go. These shrimp are too fishy. Crabs are too much trouble to peel. The pork belly is too fatty, it'll make you sick." I stared blankly at the leftovers piling higher and higher in my bowl. Steamed lobster, whole hairy crabs, glistening braised pork. No, these weren't leftovers. This was my paradise. "These are really all for me?" I asked cautiously, my voice as faint as a mosquito's buzz. "Psycho, really a fool," Sun Lei muttered as he walked away, but before leaving, he dropped a chicken leg into my bowl. Zhao Xiaobang stared at my bowl for a long time, then turned to Jiang Yi and said, "Bro, do you think that dog food is really that good? She's eating it so deliciously." Jiang Yi gritted his teeth and shouted at me, "You're not allowed to leave until you finish it, got it?" Then he turned and kicked Zhao Xiaobang. "What are you looking at? Want some dog food too?" When most people had dispersed, I picked up the heavy bowl and found a corner to squat down. Sunlight streamed through the window onto the pile of food, making every grain of rice glisten. I grabbed a piece of meat with my hand and stuffed it into my mouth, then scooped up a big spoonful of rice. My cheeks bulged like a hamster's. When my mother was lucid, she told me that she used to play the piano. But all 10 of her fingers had been crushed out of shape. She couldn't even hold my hand. As far back as I can remember, she was locked in a pigsty, a long iron chain around her neck. She would often scream like a madwoman, chanting in a foreign language I couldn't understand, then crying. Whenever she got the chance, she would run away. At first, she would take me with her. In this house, I wasn't welcome either. I was a girl, unwanted from birth. When I was little, that man would call me Lin Cheap Girl. When I was 8, Lin Yong finally took me to register for a household. The staff asked for my name, and he said impatiently, "Lin Cheap Girl." The staff couldn't believe it. "Are you sure? Once it's registered, it can't be changed." She's just as cheap as her mother. What good name does she deserve? The staff was furious and wrote Lin Littlegrass on the paper, asking Lin Yong if that was it. Lin Yong couldn't read, thought it said cheap girl, and nodded vaguely. I cowered by the counter, my head low. Only when I saw the name on the household registration book did I breathe a sigh of relief. As we left, 100 yuan was slipped into my palm. I looked at that staff member with gratitude. After walking far away, when my dad wasn't looking, I gave them a deep bow from a distance. That night he got drunk, and I took the money and keys to find Mom. In the depth of winter, Mom was wearing only a tattered vest, huddled in a corner shivering, her hair matted into knots. The skin on her neck was rubbed raw by the iron chain, forming thick, dark red scabs. "Mom, take the money and run," I said, expertly unlocking the lock and handing her the bill. She stared at it. Her eyes were vacant. Having been cut off from society for so long, she didn't recognize the new version of the currency anymore. Suddenly, she glared at me with suspicion. "You're lying to me. You're his child. You must be tricking me." Her mind was unstable then. Her words jumbled. I coaxed and pleaded, finally helping her out the door. But we hadn't run far before we ran into Third Uncle on his night patrol. The villagers chased us with torches and tied us back up. That time, we were beaten black and blue. A large gash was opened on her head by a stone, and blood soaked through the straw of the pigsty. When she woke up, there was only hatred in her eyes as she looked at me. "It's all your fault. If it weren't for you, I would have escaped long ago, my child. Please take Mom away, okay? All you Lins are devils. I'm begging you, leave me alone." Her mind grew more and more clouded. Back then, thanks to kind-hearted people funding our village, I was sent to town to attend school. I started to understand things and gradually realized Mom had been trafficked. I was the child of a human trafficker. I told this secret to my only friend. The next day, I was ostracized by the whole class. "Your mom's a lunatic, your dad's a trafficker. You're no good either." They threw trash at me, spat on me, and someone even shoved my head into the toilet. Later, the police followed the clues and came to rescue Mom and me. Mom was lucid sometimes and confused at others. But when she was lucid, she was in great pain. She would flinch and tremble at the sight of me. "I don't know her. She's not my child." Grandfather had a heart attack from anger and wouldn't let me into the house. The Wynn family doesn't have such a bastard. How could that trafficker be connected to our family? My cousin kicked me out. I had no idea where to go and couldn't stop worrying about Mom, so I just stayed crouched by the door for 2 days. In the end, I passed out from hunger on the steps. When I woke up again, I was in the hospital getting in for drip. My grandfather stood by the bed, leaning on his cane, his hair completely white. "Child, don't blame us. Whether it's your mother or the Wynn family, we can't accept you. It's not your fault you have a father like that. We'll support your education, give you the best schooling, but as for the rest, you're on your own." I didn't resent them. I understood. I was that man's child, a stain that could never be washed clean. I didn't dare ask, "Can I have something to eat?" I was so hungry. I knew they all had it hard. My mother, my grandfather. Just being able to continue school was already more than I could ask for. That man originally said he'd only let me finish elementary school, learn a few characters, so I could fetch a higher bride price someday. And so I was sent to this school. They seemed to have paid all my tuition, but they seemed to have forgotten my living expenses. So from the time I returned to the Wynn family until now, I hadn't eaten a single meal. All I had in my stomach was the glucose from that day's 4 drip. My cousin wasn't at this school, but he'd already tipped off the people in my class. My dad was a human trafficker, and they were to take good care of me. Now I can eat my fill, and such good food too, with so many meats I've never tasted before. I'm very content. It's really nice to be cared for. When I returned to the classroom, the trash I imagined wasn't thrown at me, and no one laughed. Logically, after they learned about my background, no one would like me. I sat back down in the last row. The girl next to me was very pretty, with clear, cool eyes and eyebrows. Her school uniform was as clean as if it smelled of sunshine. When she saw me sit down, she didn't cover her nose like my previous deskmates, disgusted by my smell. But she frowned slightly and moved her books half an inch to the other side. "What are you looking at?" "Turn to page 28. Her voice was so nice, I was stunned for a moment. Why are you still spacing out? If you don't do well on the exam and drag down our class, I'll settle the score with you. I quickly lowered my head and flipped to page 28, feeling a strange sensation in my heart. There must be some trick waiting for me. I've heard that rich kids in elite schools have many ways to torture people. But for the entire class, no one bothered me anymore. When the teacher came to class, there was nothing unusual. Later I found out she was the study monitor, Chin Jiwe, who cared most about the class's average score. After that, things would always appear on my desk, sometimes neatly copied notes, sometimes old exercise books with key points marked. I couldn't keep up with math, so she would tap my desk with her pen during the quiet lunch break. For this problem, look at the auxiliary line first. Her tone was very flat, but she explained each step extremely slowly, pausing after each one until the confusion in my eyes cleared before moving on to the next sentence. My English was a blank slate. I didn't even know all 26 letters. She tossed an old tape recorder at me expressionlessly. Study hard. I'll check tomorrow. Her face was stern, but her voice was really nice. When she taught me to pronounce words, I spaced out again and couldn't help blurting out, "Is your voice always this nice?" She froze, her face instantly turning red. She jabbed my test paper hard. "If you don't study properly, I'll really have to settle accounts with you. Look, you only got 38 on the quiz." I didn't dare get distracted anymore. I got up before dawn every day to practice speaking. Back when I was in school, everyone isolated me, so I had plenty of time to study. I was always first in my class. But now I got last place in the exam, dragging down the class ranking. I can't let Chin Jiwe's efforts go to waste. Without any living expenses, eating became a problem. I asked the school if I could work study. The homeroom teacher looked as if she'd heard a joke. "We're an elite school. How could we possibly let students work? Didn't the Win family send you here? How could you be short on money?" A nearby teacher quietly pulled her aside. "She's the one from the Win family who was kidnapped, the child born to a trafficker." The homeroom teacher was very young, just back from studying abroad. Her face turned pale with fright, and she jumped back a good distance. "We don't have work-study programs. You should go back. What's wrong with this school, letting just anyone in?" I lowered my head and walked out of the office. I'd heard words like that many times since childhood. I was already immune. Since that won't work, I'll go to the cafeteria. At least they have free kimchi and soup there. I wonder if there will be dog food again today. Thinking of that day's dog food, I couldn't help swallowing. My stomach tightened. I had just sat down in a corner when a heavy lunchbox crashed down in front of me. Jiangyi stood with his hands in his pockets, looking down at me with a frown. "Hey, are all you girls so obsessed with losing weight that you only drink soup? Eat this. It'll make you fat." Zhao Xiaopeng chimed in, forcing a smirk. "Yeah, my cousin would cry all morning if she gained a pound." I didn't say anything. I quietly opened the lunchbox. Braised ribs, stir-fried shrimp, and 2 golden fried eggs nestled on top. The rice was packed tightly. I picked up the spoon and dug in, lowering my head. The rice was warm, the ribs were fall-off-the-bone tender, and the shrimp were sweet. I ate quickly. I finished every bit in 2 minutes, even scraping the oil stains off the edges of the lunchbox with my spoon. "Thank you," I said, setting down the empty box and looking up at him, my eyes stinging. Jiangyi froze. His ears turned visibly red. He took a sudden step back, his voice rising in a fluster. Are you out of your mind? Who asked you to thank us? We're bullying you. Don't you get it?" He grabbed the still-dazed Zhao Xiaopeng and left in a huff. "I told you to be tougher. Or how else can we explain to Wen Chen? We're the school bullies. We gotta be fierce." Wen Chen, my cousin's name. My heart felt like a thin needle had pricked it, a little stuffy, but not too painful. He hates me so much, probably because he loves Mom too much, too heartbroken over the suffering she endured. As long as Mom can stay in the Wen family and recover from her illness properly, nothing else matters. I wonder if Mom ate well today, if her condition has improved a bit. I carefully dried the washed and shiny lunchbox, put it back in Jiangye's desk drawer. The sunlight shone on it, warm and cozy. I thought for a moment. When no one was around, I left him a note. "Don't bother anymore. Please don't give me food. Thanks." Then I thought again, and lightly crossed out the word bother, changing it to trouble. during evening self-study. I was the only one in the classroom studying. All the other students were day students. Only I had signed up for boarding. But I've gotten used to this kind of life. When Chin Jua left, she left me a lot of practice questions with a blank expression, key problem types. I didn't dare to delay. These questions were carefully organized by her. She was a top student, a free private tutor who was more thorough than the teachers. I wouldn't have dared to even imagine it before. But as I worked, I got hungry. Damn it. The lunch was tasty, but it didn't fill me up. I got up, filled 2 large cups of water, and gulped them down. Unexpectedly, I ran into the school beauty Bai Lu, who came back to get something. She was staring at me like I was a freak. Are you crazy? Drinking 2 large cups of cold water in one go. I lowered my head and didn't dare to speak. Just then, my stomach traitorously grumbled, sounding especially loud in the empty corridor. Bai Lu's expression froze. She frowned, looking disgusted, and tossed a meal card to me. Go ahead and use it. I didn't dare to take it. It wasn't that I was afraid of a trap, but that I wasn't worthy. The card was dazzlingly bright, covered with rhinestones that formed a sparkling, Sundra cat pattern. It looked expensive. Bai Lu seemed even angrier, and she directly shoved the card into my palm. I just hate hearing the sound of stomach growling. It's annoying. I have OCD, got it. After saying that, even she seemed to realize that explanation was wrong. She picked up her sketchbook and almost jogged out of the corridor, leaving behind only a faint, pleasant scent of gardenias. I clenched the meal card tightly. The diamond edges dug into my palm, stinging a little. Tears unexpectedly started falling, big drops splashing onto the shiny cat ears. How annoying. I've been at this school less than a week, but I've already shed more tears than in the past 10+ years combined. Back when Lin Yong used to hit me, I didn't even cry like this. What's wrong with me now? So life went on. I didn't have to worry about tuition anymore, thanks to the meal card Bai Lu gave me. It always showed a balance of 99.99 plus. No matter how much I spent, the remaining amount was always that number. I could only take out my little notebook and record every cent I spent. When I get into college and find a job, I'll pay her back. Jiangyi didn't come looking for me anymore, but there was always all kinds of food on my desk, though this time it had changed to clean disposable lunch boxes. One time I came early on purpose and saw Jiangyi and Zhao Xiaobang putting food on my desk. The cafeteria food was so terrible, I didn't know how he could even eat it. This is a new recipe my aunt came up with. It's good for the brain. And this, she stays up so late studying every day, so this is good for the eyes. This one is for iron deficiency. She's so thin it's scary. The other day I saw her hand, such a long scar. Just looking at it hurts. Bro yi, you talking about that scar, it was really a dog bite. Shut up, put the stuff down, and let's go. Someone's gonna come soon. As they spoke, my desk became piled with a small mountain of food. I didn't dare face them, so I just waited until they left. When I returned to my seat, I had nothing to repay them with, so I just took out the practice book Chin Jua had bought me and started doing exercises. But that place in my chest felt as if it had been filled with something warm and soft, so full it felt swollen and sore. I took out the exercise book with key points marked by Chin Jua and buried myself in it. I had nothing to repay them with except this pen in my hand. I would solve every single problem one by one. I would etch every word in the book into my mind. I had to get the highest score and attend the best university to repay this warmth. Soon came the midterm exams, and I finished first in my class. Chin Jua suddenly sprang from her seat and hugged me tightly. Her cool voice couldn't contain the excitement. I taught him, from last to first. She was happier than if she herself had come in first, her eyes sparkling like they were full of stars. Quiet. This isn't a market. The homeroom teacher slammed the desk hard, his gaze cutting like a knife as it swept over me. Some students don't get cocky just because you've made a little progress. The smile on Chin Jiu's face instantly froze. She let go of me, picked up the LV bag from the table, and casually tossed the one on the floor out the window. Teacher, my bag fell out. Could you help me pick it up? The teacher's face was ashen. Chin Jiu smiled sweetly. It's yours. The teacher's expression shifted instantly, ingratiating. How can I accept this? But I'll go pick it up right now. With that, she hurried off to retrieve the bag. Chin Jiu pursed her lips and pulled out another set of problems. Finally, some quiet. Don't get too cocky either. This is a practice test from the exam setter. Finish it in the next 2 days. My heart was brimming with joy. I nodded emphatically and grabbed the paper to start writing. Bai Lu couldn't stand it. She just got first place. Can't you give her a break? Let her rest, go have some afternoon tea. Relax a little. Qin Ziyue pressed down on the paper. Bai Lu, do you think everyone is like you? A carefree vase? Bai Lu's cheeks flushed. Who are you calling a vase? I passed my IELTS last year. I'm going abroad next year. You call me a vase. I quickly intervened. Actually, I can drink water while doing the paper. Bai Lu was so annoyed that she laughed and shot me a glance. Fine, I'll have them send over some Bulgari afternoon tea. It just so happens they have a Christmas set today. Let's all celebrate together. Zhao Xiaobang eagerly joined in. Great. Then I'll have them send hot pot. Qin Ziyue was also caught up in the atmosphere. All right, I'll give you the day off today. I'll have my family send 2 Western chefs over to sear steak and foie gras for you. That was my first, and perhaps only, Christmas so noisy, so warm, and filled with the aroma of food. In the classroom, Michelin-level desserts coexisted bizarrely with steaming hot pot. Chefs in spotless white uniforms skillfully seared steaks at a makeshift counter, sizzling and fragrant. The students laughed and fooled around. Even the usually serious Qin Ziyue secretly tasted a piece of Bai Lu's gold leaf cake. I ate the beef tripe Zhao Xiaobang had grabbed for me, listened to Bai Lu grumble about the tedious process of studying abroad, and watched Jiang Yi silently cook beef slices for me not far away. For a few moments, I almost forgot who I was, where I came from, until the classroom door was banged open violently. All the laughter and joy was pressed pause. Wen Chen stood there, his face dark. He saw the delicate bone china plate in my hand. He saw the cream at the corner of my mouth that I hadn't wiped off yet. His eyes were full of anger, and he directly overturned the hot pot table nearest to him. The scalding red soup base and various foods spilled all over the ground, a mess. The nearby classmates screamed and jumped away. You're the child of a human trafficker. You carry that dirty blood. What right do you have to be so happy? Yeah. What right do I have to live such a good life? I'm Lin Yang's daughter. I carry his blood. I almost forgot just now. I felt my whole body burn. Instinctively, I lowered my head, my fingers icy cold. My voice was as faint as a mosquito's. I am sorry, Wen Chen. You've gone too far. Jiang Yi was the first to rush over. He pulled me behind him, shielding me from Wen Chen. His tall, upright back radiated anger. It's a holiday today. What the hell is wrong with you? I went too far. Wen Chen seemed completely ignited by these words. Jiang Yi, you're my best brother. You know exactly what that scumbag father of hers did to my little aunt. She's still lying in the hospital, out of her mind, and you're protecting this human trafficker's spawn. Hospital? Mom is in the hospital? Did she get worse? How is Mom? I suddenly leaned out from behind Jiang Yi, no longer caring about being scared, my voice choked with tears. Which hospital is she in? Can I go see her? Look at her. Wen Chen flung off my hand that was trying to grab his sleeve, the force making me stumble. You? You're not worthy. You and that scumbag dad of yours are both murderers who harmed her. You have nothing to do with our Wen family. Get lost. Don't ever show up in front of me again. With that, he shot a fierce glare at Jiang Yi, then turned and strode away. The festive atmosphere in the classroom was gone, leaving only the mess and an awkward silence. The classmates exchanged glances, not knowing what to say. Soon, everyone left in silence. A few people in professional attire quietly came in to handle the scene. Soon the classroom returned to normal, everything as usual, as if the noise and warmth had never happened. I retreated to my corner, my hands and feet cold, my mind full of Wen Chen's words. Mom, I want to go see her. But I didn't even know which hospital she was in. Yeah, Mom hasn't gotten better yet. Why should I deserve to live so well, so happily? I don't know how long passed. A familiar pair of sneakers stopped in front of my downcast eyes. I looked up. It was Jiang Yi. I found out, he said. Your mom is at the Wen family's private care center. She has the best medical team and nursing staff, using the best medicine. It just takes time. My heart relaxed a little, but ached more. Can I go see her? Just one glance. I promise I won't disturb her. I begged, looking at him. Jiangyi was silent for a few seconds, then nodded. I'll take you. He was incredibly efficient. 10 minutes later, I was at the care center. We're here, Jiangyi said, opening the car door for me. I twisted my fingers, my voice trembling. I just want to see her from afar, make sure she's okay. Seeing me might upset her. Is there somewhere I can go without disturbing her, but still be able to see her? Jiangyi turned and whispered a few words to someone. Soon we were led to a quiet monitoring room with a wall of screens showing real-time footage from different rooms. Jiangyi pointed at one of the screens. In that room, my mother was lying on the bed by the window. She was wearing a clean, soft light blue hospital gown, covered with a white blanket. The room was spacious and bright, adorned with flowers. She looked much better. No longer that deathly grayish-blue color, there was color in her cheeks. Her long hair had been groomed and lay smoothly over her shoulders. She looked so beautiful, but on her forehead, the scar from the stone that hit her was still glaring. She gazed quietly out the window, her eyes vacant, unfocused. I covered my mouth tightly, but tears burst forth uncontrollably.
Mom, I'm sorry.
I cried so hard my whole body trembled, but I dared not make a sound. Jiangyi stood beside me, silently handed me a pack of tissues, and said nothing. The next day, just as I entered the classroom, the air instantly froze. Everyone stopped what they were doing, and countless gazes glued onto me. I could understand. The Wen family's influence was immense. Everyone had heard what he said yesterday. They all knew I was the daughter of a human trafficker. My face burned fiercely, and my lower abdomen ached with a heavy, dragging pain. I had been shivering on and off since last night. I quickly shuffled to my seat, buried my head in my homework, and tried my best to ignore those scrutinizing looks. Qin Ziyue hadn't come all morning. I wondered if she also thought it was shameful to be friends with someone like me. The way she had been so kind to me before, maybe it was because she didn't know about my background. During the break, I really needed to go to the restroom. I barely stood up and took 2 steps when the classroom fell silent again. Someone nudged their desk mate with an elbow, signaling them to look at me. I pretended not to notice. I kept my head down, trying to shrink into the background as I shuffled out. Every step felt like stepping on needles. My stomach hurt, but my heart was even more unsettled. Suddenly, a soft, cream-colored long trench coat, smelling faintly of cool gardenia and made of gentle fabric, was lightly draped over my shoulders from beside me, instantly wrapping me up. It was by Lu. She gripped my icy wrist firmly and, without a word, pulled me around and headed out. We walked in silence until she brought me into the dormitory. After closing the door, she said with a look of disgust, "There's blood all over your pants. Don't you know that?" I stared at her blankly. Another sharp pain twisted in my lower abdomen. I turned to look and saw a shocking patch of blood on my pants. My mind went blank with a buzz. Bleeding. Am I going to die? Just like that time when Mom was in the pigsty, bleeding so much, then passing out. A huge wave of fear seized me instantly. Tears poured out without warning. I stammered. I'm sorry, Bai Lu. I might not have long to live. I've been keeping track of the meal card you gave me. From the start of the semester until now, I've spent a total of 923.5 yuan. I know it's a lot. The food at school is too expensive. I've tried to only eat rice. I probably can't repay you in this life. In the next life, I'll work like an ox or a horse to pay you back. Bai Lu was stunned at first, her beautiful almond eyes wide open as if she didn't understand what I was saying. A few seconds later, she burst out laughing. What are you doing? Leaving a final testament? You're so silly. Then, as if something occurred to her, she frowned and looked me over. That's not right, Lin Xiaoqiao. This is your first time? That shouldn't be the case. You're this old, and your mother never told you? This is menstruation. Every girl gets it when she grows up. Every month, she stopped mid-sentence as something hit her, glanced around, then started rambling again. What kind of pigsty are you living in? Does the window have a draft? Why is it so cold? She immediately pulled out her phone. She called the housekeeper and recited a long list, from a thickened mattress and down comforter to hand warmers and hot water bottles. Oh, and bring a heater too. Also bring a few sets of clothes. Those unused ones in my closet, all of them. Soon, two of Bailu's housekeepers arrived with large bags. They were quick and gentle, patiently teaching me how to use sanitary pads. Why did my period come? What should I pay attention to during it? Then they helped me change into clean, soft cotton pajamas that carried the scent of sunshine. Helped me lie down. Only then did I belatedly notice that on my hard wooden bed, at some unknown time, a thick, soft mattress and a fluffy down comforter had been laid out, and there were several fuzzy stuffed toys by the bed, the kind of cute toys I had only seen on TV. In the empty, cold dormitory, the warm aroma of simmering food filled the air, and Annie was cooking bird's nest porridge in a small pot, bubbling away.
I felt as if I was walking on cotton.
It all happened too fast, too unreal. I even forgot the abdominal pain, leaving only a dazed bewilderment. Just then, Chin Ziyue rushed in a fluster, her coat buttons not even fastened, her bangs a bit messy. "Bailu, where have you put my first place again?" Her tone was harsh, but only when she saw me lying pale-faced on the bed did she abruptly stop mid-sentence, her brows tightly furrowed. Bailu walked over and whispered a few words in her ear. Chin Ziyue's face instantly darkened. She took a few steps to my bedside, touched my cold forehead, then took out her phone. "I'll have the family doctor come over right away. Developing so late and the first flow is this heavy, we need to get it checked properly." Her fingers tapped quickly on the screen. The line of her profile tightened a bit. Then she looked up at me, her eyes full of concern. Years later, I still remember this day. My mother was absent for this moment, but they, with their own warmth, warmed it up, softened it. It became my softest, most beautiful memory. Over those years, I said countless thank yous. To Bailu, to Chin Ziyue, to so many people later. But deep down I know, some weights can never be carried by the words thank you. It wasn't condescending charity, nor a whim of pity. It was two equally proud and beautiful girls, clumsily and sincerely reaching out their hands to me. That was the light in my barren and gray girlhood. From then on, no matter how many cold moments there would be in the future, as long as I remembered that afternoon in the dormitory, I would know how cherished I once was. When I returned to the classroom, there were no more whispers. I don't know if it was Bailu, or Chin Ziyue, or Jiang Yi, but when walking around school, there were still often people pointing at me. But it didn't matter anymore. Having such good friends, even if I were cursed by tens of thousands, it was worth it. At that time, my sense of self-worth was extremely low. Heaven suddenly bestowed such 3 good friends upon me, and I was even willing to exchange my life for them. Days passed like this, and Bailu went abroad in the 2nd year. Before leaving, she added a lot of money to my meal card. I couldn't use that much, and I still hadn't repaid the previous ones. Her eyes were slightly red, her tone willful. "Who wants you to pay me back? Eat more, don't be as skinny as a blade of grass. But it's good that now you're plump and fair." Soon after, Jiang Yi was also sent by his family to study at a business school. He also had to inherit the family business. When I was leaving, he gave me a watch so I can know if you're sleeping well. "It doesn't matter if you don't do well on the exam. I'll have your back then." Luckily, Chin Ziyue hasn't left yet. She said she wants to compete with me to be the top scorer in the college entrance exam. My grades were first every year, so she couldn't tutor me anymore. She arranged for a private tutor to give us extra lessons after school every day. I successfully got into Peking University's medical school, and she got into Tsinghua's economics and management department. Xiao Chao, we're still in the same place. We can study together then. I hugged her and thanked her again and again. In these years, I haven't returned to the Wen family or seen my mother, but Jiang Yi often kept me updated on her treatment progress. She's getting better and better. The family introduced her to a very nice uncle, so she can start a new life. Before going to college, I still want to see her one more time. Just a distant look to know she's doing well. I thought it over in my mind for a long time and finally snuck over to the Wen family one morning, crouching outside the ornate iron fence. I saw my mother in a garden full of roses. She was wearing a soft beige dress, crouching to pet a playful puppy, with a serene smile I had never seen on her before. Behind her stood a middle-aged man with a refined demeanor, holding a water cup and a soft handkerchief, his gaze always tenderly following her, patient and considerate. The scene was so beautiful it felt unreal. I clutched the Peking University admission letter in my pocket. That was enough, seeing her so happy. Just as I turned to leave, something struck the back of my neck. I felt my whole body go weak. Before losing consciousness, I felt myself being roughly lifted and shoved into a car. When I woke up, I found myself tied to a chair in an abandoned open-air warehouse, in dim light. A stranger, a young man, stood before me with a sinister expression. Without a word, he raised his hand and slapped me hard across the face, a searing pain exploding on my cheek. It had been years since anyone had hit me. That slap instantly brought back memories of Lin Yong. He was dead, but just thinking about those days still made me tremble uncontrollably.
Who are you?
I asked hoarsely, my ears ringing. I'm your mother's son, your brother. Mother's son. After a moment of confusion, I could see his face clearly. There was indeed a trace of the man from the garden in his features. Why are you holding me? A chill crept up from my feet. Pei Jing seemed to find it ridiculous. His voice suddenly turned shrill. Wouldn't it have been better if you'd died out there? Why did you have to come back? Why show up in front of her and my father? I didn't. I just wanted to take a distant look at Mom. I pleaded urgently. Shut up. He cut me off sharply, his eyes like a viper's. A bastard is a bastard. You're not worthy to call her mother. Let me tell you, after Dad marries that slut, everything in the Wen family will be mine. I won't allow anyone, especially tainted blood like you, to ruin my plans and take what belongs to me. My blood ran cold. If you dare hurt Mom, I will haunt you even after I die. Pei Jing gave a chilling smile. He picked up a rusty iron pipe, weighed it in his palm, and walked toward me step by step, his shadow completely engulfing me. Fine then. Why don't you go ahead and try being a ghost first? Just as I was being shoved into the car, Jiang Yi, who had quietly returned from abroad to surprise me, sensed something was wrong. The watch he gave me had a GPS tracker, and at that moment, I was rapidly moving toward the outskirts of the city. No, she usually wouldn't even take a taxi. How could she be moving this fast? A bus wouldn't have this speed. Having grown up in a prominent family, he immediately smelled something off and called Qin Jiyue. Qin Jiyue quickly called me, but my phone was off. Had she gone to the Wen family? She had been restless these past few days. Meanwhile, far across the ocean, Bai Lu also received the news. It was still night there, but she sat up instantly. Without any nonsense, she opened her laptop. She logged into her family's trading system on Wall Street, her fingers flying across the keyboard. Minutes later, the overseas stock price of the Wen Group began to fluctuate abnormally. With enough leverage, she called Wen Chen. Tell me where Xiao Chao is within 3 minutes, or I'll swallow up all of Wen family's overseas markets. Even if it meant sacrificing 1,000 to harm the enemy by 800, Wen Chen, who answered the call, was baffled. But he also knew the combined strength of the Bai, Qin, and Jiang families, especially since Bai Lu was overseas. Even if the losses could be recovered later, the Wen family would still be crippled. He immediately had the butler check the surveillance footage and found that I had been kidnapped. On my territory, pulling this kind of stunt, and she's mine after all. He didn't finish his sentence, swallowing the rest. He immediately told them to call the police and sent the footage to Jiang Yi and Qin Jiyue. Qin Jiyue calculated the location and the time I had left and immediately dispatched a helicopter. On the other side, Jiang Ye's Ducati tore through the streets like a red lightning bolt. Holding the handlebar with one hand, he quickly dialed with the other. His tone was fierce. It's me, Jiang Yi. Get all the guys from your garage out here. Call as many as you can. Block all exits of the old industrial zone in the west of the city. Yeah, right now, immediately. In the top circles of Haiqing, a single word from the young master of the Jiang family carried power beyond imagination. In just a few minutes, countless supercars and luxury cars roared out of various clubs, villas, and garages. Maseratis, Lamborghinis, and Ferraris converged into a torrent, ignoring traffic rules as they sped in the same direction, drawing stares from passers-by and causing chaos in traffic surveillance. Inside the warehouse, a rusty iron pipe whistled through the air, crashing down toward my head. I closed my eyes, but the anticipated sharp pain never came. Instead, there was a heavy thud and a man's agonized scream. What trash dares to touch her? Jiang Yi kicked Pei Jing flying, sending him crashing into a scrap-filled iron rack with a loud bang. His forehead hair was slightly disheveled. He was breathing heavily, clearly having rushed over with all his might. Almost at the same moment, the roar of helicopter rotors came from the warehouse's dilapidated roof. A beam of strong light pierced through the dusty skylight, precisely illuminating Pei Jing. At the door of the hovering helicopter, Qin Ziyue knelt on one knee, her figure steady as a rock. Her eyes cold, she drew the bowstring taut. Ridiculous. The arrow whistled through the air, with pinpoint accuracy piercing Pei Jing's knee as he tried to get up. Pei Jing let out a scream and could no longer get up. Jiang Yi had already rushed to my side in a single stride. His hands trembled slightly, but he quickly cut the ropes binding me. Qin Ziyue also quickly slid down the rappelling rope and ran to my side. Seeing the deep red rope burns on my wrists and the handprint on my cheek, her usually cool eyes immediately blazed with fury. She turned to deliver another kick to Pei Jing, who was wailing on the ground, when Bailu's video call came through to Jiang Yi. "Let me have a look." Good, you haven't lost weight. In fact, your face looks a bit fuller." She spoke rapidly, trying to use her usual teasing to hide her choked voice. "Lin Xiaoqiao, you scare me to death. Next time you go anywhere, you have to report to me first, got it?" I looked at the familiar face on the screen. Then I looked at Jiang Yi and Qin Ziyue, whose eyes were still full of lingering fear. Only then did I feel scared. I hugged Qin Ziyue and wailed, I thought I would never see you again." Qin Ziyue's body stiffened for a moment, then relaxed as she hugged me back, gently patting my back. Just then, the sound of police sirens came from outside the warehouse, growing closer. Officers quickly swarmed in and subdued the fallen Pei Jing. Following close behind were Wen Chen and my mom, her face pale as paper, rushing toward me without a care for anything else. "My baby, my little girl." Mom wrenched herself free from Wen Chen's grip, stumbled forward, and pulled me tightly into her arms. "Are you okay? Are you okay? It's all my fault I didn't protect you. It's all my fault." I was stunned by the sudden, warm and real embrace. Trembling, I reached out my hands and cautiously hugged her back. My voice broke into sobs. "Mom, you're better now? You don't blame me anymore?" "No, I never blamed you. It's me who failed you, my child." Mom was choked with tears, holding me even tighter, as if to make up for all the embraces we'd missed. "Mom, I miss you so much. I got into the medical school at Peking University. Now I can become a doctor too, and I can take good care of you." I was rambling. All the grievances I had bottled up for years, the longing, the yearning, finally found an outlet, turning into loud, sobbing tears. Good, my girl is the best." Mom stroked my hair, but her tears flowed even more fiercely. Beside us, Wen Chen watched our crying embrace, his expression complicated. He stepped forward and said, "Xiaoqiao, I'm sorry. Before, I was immature, said a lot of horrible things, and did many things that hurt you. Please forgive me." Jiang Yi, standing by with his arms crossed, gave a snort and lightly punched Wen Chen on the shoulder. "All right, if you're apologizing, just apologize properly. Why make it so formal? You guys are such a cheesy bunch." He glanced around the dim, filthy warehouse, frowned in disgust, and said, "Is this dump fit for humans? Hurry up, everyone go home. Today is Xiaoqiao's big day. Getting into Peking University has brought glory to your Wen family. We gotta celebrate properly. That was the best summer of my life." After returning to the Wen family, I would linger in my mother's room every night. She had a faint, reassuring scent of herbal medicine. Mixed with the smell of sun-dried bedding, I was like a young animal that had finally found its nest, curling up beside her and clinging tightly to her arm, afraid that if I let go, this warmth would turn back into a dream. Sometimes I would wake up in the middle of the night, drenched in cold sweat, and always meet a pair of gentle eyes gazing at me. Under the moonlight, my mother's fingers gently brushed away the sweat-soaked hair from my forehead. Her movements were a bit unfamiliar, yet carried an incredible preciousness. "Had a nightmare?" Her voice was very soft, with a slight hoarseness from just waking up. I shook my head and buried my face in her warm neck, greedily breathing in a scent that belonged to my mother. The fear Anger and grievance accumulated over the years silently melted away in this embrace, like snow and ice melted by the sun. From now on, Lin Xiaoqiao was also a child who had a mother's love. Years later, I finally put on a white coat as I wished, busy between operating rooms and wards, on the path of saving lives and healing the wounded. I often think of that little girl who had a high fever in a pigsty, ignored by all. Now, I finally have the ability to provide a small patch of shade for more little blades of grass. Reunited, it was at Bailu's wedding, a beautiful beach, intertwined starlight and lights. The bride was stunningly beautiful. Arm in arm with the groom in suit and leather shoes, her brows and eyes still the same spoiled and bright look from those days, but with added tenderness tempered by time. I handed over a thick red envelope. I know she doesn't lack anything, but this is my obligatory gesture of appreciation. For that meal card that could never be used up, for that trench coat with the scent of gardenias, for all the tenderness she gave. The few of us sat at a specially arranged table. Jiang Yi was already General Manager Jiang, dominating the business world, in a sharp suit, with the youthful aggression faded from his brow, settled into composure and sharpness. But when he saw us, he still subconsciously wanted to kick Zhao Xiaopeng's chair, only to be stopped by Qin Jiyue's glare. Qin Jiyue is already a young professor at a top domestic research institute, the gaze behind his gold-rimmed glasses still cold and wise. Zhao Xiaopeng has become a top mukbang blogger, secretly holding up his phone to film the wedding cake, muttering that the cream is amazing. Guys, double tap 666. During the feast, they talked and laughed, from lab problems to Jiang Ye's company's IPO turmoil, from Zhao Xiaopeng's recipe fails to gossip about Bailu's cross-border romance. Time seems to have never passed, as if they were still teenagers. My phone vibrated. It was a text from Mom. "Sweetie, don't drink too much, come back early. I've made hangover soup, waiting for you to come back and have some." I looked at the short text on the screen. A smile unconsciously curled on my lips. I replied, "Okay, be back soon." My heart was filled with warmth. I raised my glass. The champagne bubbles rose along the crystal-clear glass wall. I looked at these incredibly precious people around the table, whom fate had gifted to me. To everyone, to us, the gentle clink of glasses rings out crisp and clear, like a harmony of all the support and laughter from days gone by. How wonderful, little grass. From now on, every day will be filled with love, a home to return to, and friends to lean on. Starlight settles into your eyes. The sea breeze is gentle. The road ahead is long, but I know I will never walk it alone again.